Hey guys, and welcome to another video of just me talking. And today I just wanted to speak about, I'm guessing you already saw from the subtitle, 13 reasons why I think Sony is losing its way and might become the next Sega. And some people will agree with that, some people won't. It's your prerogative, honestly. But let's just hop to it real quick and I'll just list you my reasons and then you can make your decisions after. And this is just a little personal thing to just say. So, number one, I think we should get this out of the way as quickly as possible, is moving exclusive games to PC. Now, this has been a contentious part because on one side you have all the PC gamers, right, cheering, and then on one side you have Sony fans saying this is not a good play, Sony. So I agree with the Sony fans, not just because I play PlayStation and I've only, in terms of consoles, I've only owned a PlayStation. So maybe some people say I'm biased, but I'm really not because I also own a PC. But and I see it from this point. I'm like Sony's whole thing is exclusive games, and a lot of people bought PlayStation consoles just to play their games and to pay on their systems. But now that they're moving them along, I don't know how that's gonna work. Especially when I saw that the poster boy of PlayStation, basically Uncharted, is moving to PC. That kind of just put things in perspective for me. I was like, Sony is no longer the home of exclusive; it's the home of timed exclusives. That's basically what they're becoming, and I kind of hate to see it because they fell into what Microsoft's trap. But Microsoft, it was with Xbox. I mean, they can afford to do this because they can drop Halo on Steam and all that. Because at the end of the day, they have a big ass company to support them, like Microsoft. Sony, on the other hand, it makes up a majority. I mean, PlayStation makes a majority of Sony's income, like more than 50%. It's just them. And to take that gamble and to try to play in the same territory, Xbox basically baited them into it, if we're being honest here. Uh, that's just it. They kind of got baited into it. And then it's like they don't see it, that it's not really a plot because, like, they have around the same amount, but then it's stupid. They kind of got baited by Xbox, and now they're just gonna fall down the same path. And the best system to own at the end of the day is gonna end up being a Steam Deck. That's just the truth because you can have both platforms. You can have Xbox exclusives and you can have PlayStation exclusive, both on the same system on Steam. And number two is leadership. When we talk about PlayStation's leadership, I'll be quick on this one. Is when we see the different leadership styles the of the CEO Jim Ryan. Jim Ryan's way that he came in, he's kind of he's flaky, as I can say. Like one moment he's saying he's gonna do this, the next moment he's gonna say he's gonna do that. Like I understand that things change in corporate culture, but you can't be that flaky constantly because it kind of gives like a bad outlook on how you do things with the company. And I really don't know what to think about him. And I think Wayland had the right idea. Wayland, you could tell that he liked playing games. Jim Bryan seems more like a corporate plan, if you know what I mean. And that's kind of sad because I wish somebody else could hire Wayland because I really Wayland had a passion for gaming and I kind of missed that. Number three is cloud gaming. Now most people don't like cloud gaming. I get why people don't like cloud gaming. Cloud gaming doesn't cater to everybody. If you don't have good internet, you really won't enjoy gaming. That basically for you, it kind of is like a way of them saying we're gonna cut you off. And I get that. But then here's the thing. With cloud gaming comes a lot of things. It's better to have than have not. And PlayStation's right now is still lacking like massively. Xbox has a cloud gaming solution. Nintendo has a cloud gaming solution. Steam has a cloud gaming solution. But PlayStation's is kind of it's the weakest one of the bunch, like amongst those big players. And I think with time, those cracks are gonna show more and more. Right now, we're still playing like that, but as internet providers kind of as time goes on, and Sony seems to not wanting to gonna is gonna catch up with them. Number four is the value proposition. And here there's a lot of aspects that I cover, like Sony increasing prices for games to $70 instead of sticking to 60 when they don't need to. That's the type of bitch shit. And when you compare PlayStation Now to Game Pass or Xbox Ultimate and stuff, the fact that PlayStation doesn't have something to combat Xbox Ultimate, like PlayStation Plus and PlayStation Now all combined into one service, they don't have anything to combat that, right? And most of their stuff is still region locked. As much as they want to talk up a big game, like PlayStation Now is not available in like a majority of countries that they service. Only like the US, UK, and all of them, the most notable ones, but the majority of their customers don't have the systems. I think this kind of stands out because if you take away the exclusive games and then you compare them, right? Compare Xbox and PlayStation. Xbox is way more better for cost cutting and value for money. And I don't think Sony understands that, but they'll find out soon enough. Number five is the handheld market. Like Sony used to dabble in it before. They left it as time went on, and they kind of left the handheld market, which I think was a bad mistake because now the handheld market is being dominated by people like Nintendo Switch and the soon to be Steam Deck. And right now, they don't have another backup solution instead of the PlayStation. They don't have another place where you can play the games. They want to do a cloud services, but I think they should just do an app at this point, like a cloud app, and work on it and just talk about it because it's been a couple years. Number six is the cult of personality. Now, when I mean cult of personality, usually you talk about a person, but let's be honest, the embodiment of PlayStation as a whole thing is kind of become its own person. And there's this kind of personality around it, like this too big to fail mentality that now kind of surrounds PlayStation. And I think people forget what happened to the PS3 because PS2 was also amazing. You know, it was like fucking fantastic. Why is that one of the highest selling consoles of all time? But pride before the fall, as they say, because like it's like Sony doesn't see the writing on the wall of the shit that they're doing. I mean, sure, the PS5 is successful. This projected to be successful, but this next 7 years are gonna shape how people are gonna think about the next consoles, right? And to on to my next point though, which kind of links up to the previous one, is backwards compatibility. Now, this has been talked about from here to the moon. Like they should have had backwards compatibility for PS3, PS2, and PS1, not just PS4. And I think in some aspect, I think the PS4, PS5 Pro is gonna have that. Get this, because them taking down the PS3 store online, I don't understand the logic behind that. That's why I think that they're gonna revive it. They're working behind the scenes to do it on the PS5 Pro. That's why I think it's gonna come, but that's hopeful thinking because if it doesn't, that's another aspect which they lost to Xbox because Xbox said they're gonna be working to improve more backwards compatibility into their next, like mid-cycle upgrade. So if they don't, but like they did talk about it at the developer showcase that in order for them to able to emulate a PS3, they'll need to basically put like another chip inside. And the cost factor of the leaks that are coming out, they're saying that the PS5 Pro is going to be around 700, 800 ish dollars. It kind of makes sense that that's a whole another ass chip in there. And that kind of does make sense. And I think our people would understand. Like people wanted it. They would understand for the cost value. But that's if they do it. So right now it's kind of a rumor and we'll see what happens with it. Number eight, they're no longer a leader, they're a follower. And that links up to my previous point too. Because the whole backwards compatibility thing, Sony was very hesitant on that. They didn't want to do it. Or even crossplay, they didn't want to do it. It was all a bunch of other platforms or the game developers themselves who kind of pushed it. We're no longer back in the times when Sony would be like, okay, we're pushing boundaries with this. We're doing this, we're making a game called Mag. We're doing like 200 multiplayer type thing. They don't no longer do that. Sony is just like in the back seat. Maybe they'll hop on something after they see it's kind of popular. And I think that's gonna be very damaging to them in the long run. Number nine is let's focus on what made them popular. Now, when I talk about this, there's a lot of things that made Sony popular in the day. I think it's their simplicity and their offer of the alternative to the trending things. But as of now, Sony is kind of following a pattern. They kind of they're not jolting with the market. They're kind of going with the flow and acting like other companies in the gaming industry and not going against it. Like we all remember 2013 PS4 launch. They're not doing stuff like that anymore. They're kind of becoming the villain, and Xbox is becoming the protagonist. And it's becoming that situation now, the David versus Goliath situation. And Sony, it doesn't look good for them at the end. And I just want people to see that. And we're gonna see what happens. And if in 14 years or 21 years, if PlayStation is still around in a big capacity, I'll be honest with you, I'll be surprised, firstly, because they're kind of shaping out like how Sega was. Sega used to make consoles, the Sega Saturn and all that. And then at the end of the day, Hubert kind of caught up with them. And that they kind of collapsed off the shelf too. And now they just make games. I think I've pictured Sony ending up like that, and it makes sense for the way that they're doing stuff right now. I just hope it's not the case. And number 10 is censorship. Now, I'm sure people have heard about how Sony kind of censored most of its Japanese developers, and they kind of been going on this path of censoring nudity from gaming and all that stuff. Like, if you remember Devil May Cry 5 when it came out, there was this whole the Batshine saga, that whole thing. So I think Sony has a problem with that. Nintendo talked about it before when they released a statement. They said, we leave that to the player's discretion, right? And the developer's discretion on how they want to present their game. We don't want to interfere as a platform. But PlayStation doesn't seem to get the ammo because they're the only ones who kind of enforce like a mandatory type thing. They've kind of killed off a lot of Japanese studios because of the way they're acting. And a lot of resentment has been building up in the Japanese developer community against Sony. And that's why I think they're going to lose one of those aspects of them, which is not going to be a great thing. Number 11 is they're afraid of change or they're stuck in the past, both of which are not a good thing. Because the way Sony is, right, I think they kind of fed off that high of saying, well, okay, we're the quintessential form of gaming, we're the bare bones type of gaming way. And then that's a good thing, because like they're not trying to force like a media system type thing like Xbox tried to do with the Xbox One. But at the end of the day, you do need to adapt in the long run. Time things change with time. People are more accepting of some stuff, and you shouldn't just be stuck in this rut. Because at the end of the day, you're gonna look like you're the problem, and you're not advancing enough with the way the thing you're doing things, and people will catch on to that, and then they'll be that building resentment against your company. And we're gonna see how they're gonna that links up to my thing of cloud gaming and how they're very hesitant to take on it. They were the first to go there. Like people know that in Japan, in a small capacity, it wasn't even good there. Japanese players complained about it, but they're very hesitant about it, and I think it's about time that maybe a younger leadership comes into position, or maybe Wayland was younger than Jim Ryan. That's the thing. Maybe younger leadership needs to come back for the mantle. Number 12 is PlayStation has become the home of the super casual. Now, when you speak about a casual gamer, it's somebody who comes once in a while, plays the game, and leaves. That's fine. Everybody's fine with that. A super casual though is somebody who maybe has seen like Spider-Man one time. It's like, oh my god, there's a Spider-Man game. Buys the game, plays the game, never uses the PlayStation again. And I think Sony is catering more to those people now than ever for those one quick hit type games, right? Like, yeah, this is the only game you've played. And that's not a good thing. Because at the end of the day, the people who make the money for Sony are the people who constantly play games. And who play games at least a regular rate. Not like somebody who comes like once in a while, maybe once a week they play a game or something. Because at the end of the day, those people don't buy games like on regular events. They don't buy like maybe 4 games a year. They don't do none of that. And Sony will lose money in the long run catering to those people. As some people say, it's a tendency to pander. And pandering to super casuals will not end well. And my last point is they seem disconnected from reality. Now, as all of this information is coming in, right, Sony somehow is not accepting of this, right? Like people are warning them, people are telling them They tell them all this, right? And the market numbers, I think, because of the super casuals, as I said, the numbers get inflated because everyone's trying to get their hands on the PS5. But not everybody like really wants to get their hands on it. Some people just want to get it because they're like, okay, they want to ride the hype train. It's just how it is. The publicity is kind of got into Sony, and it got to a lot of people. So people just they want to be part of the movement. The FOMO. They don't want to miss out. And I think with time, right, that's gonna kind of fizzle down. At least I hope, but people catch on. It's gonna fizzle down, and then we're gonna be in this state where things are gonna be uncomfortably awkward, and we're gonna see how the game industry really develops. That's why I'm kind of saying we might be heading for another game crash. Like we've kind of merely dodged one right now, but I think in a few years maybe, like a decade maybe two, we might see another game crash. I don't know what's gonna cause it, but it might happen. And when that happens, we're gonna lose a lot of companies. That's just a matter of fact. We're gonna lose a lot of companies. But now we're just looking for the trigger event. Before it was saturation, but then the next one might be caused by disinterest. As we've seen games changing and changing more, right? There's new markets, obviously. There's new markets, people come in, and then gaming will go on just fine, like it did back in the day. And the people will cherry pick what they want to continue on. And at the end of the day, what side of history are you gonna be a part of it? And then for Sony, I don't know what side of history they're gonna be a part of, because the Steam Deck, it kind of provides a methodology for people to finally have another platform, another choice. Because I'll be honest, not a lot of people wanted to go with the Nintendo Switch, but now they have another option, because and more option is good because it creates competition. And if Sony at the end of the day can't live up to the competition, or no can't go up against it, then it's their point of failure. And that's just how the way the cookie crumbles. But as with always, I wish you guys the best and be seeing you soon. I will post another video pretty soon, and this is your boy, Huey Kratos, signing off, and just wishing you a good day and have a nice weekend.